Oral questions. Questions on. Honourable Leader of the Opposition to be next Prime Minister Canada, Pierre Poilievre.
The Prime Minister is weak, and he's lost
He sure is.
of our borders. He opened Roxham Road, and he kept it open a year after the Americans offered to close it. He invited at least 700 foreign students by implicitly promising that they would be able to stay here permanently and who will now have to leave. And he lost 500,000 people. What is his plan to reestablish order at the borders and prevent American tariffs?
Man, Pierre, where are the Liberals?
Minister of Public Services.
There's no one there.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As our colleague knows very well, the relationship with the United States is the most important relationship that we have with any other country. When it comes to security and when it comes to the economy, we work very well with the Americans, and we have for many years now, for many decades. And he also knows very well that 18 months ago, we signed a new third-party agreement, which the United States have celebrated since then, and which are going to bring back to the attention of our colleague. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Since the Prime Minister enjoys invading provincial jurisdiction, he's lost control of his own jurisdiction. He is incompetent when it comes to federal jurisdiction, like borders. It's the most important federal jurisdiction. In fact, now the provincial premiers have lost confidence in this Prime Minister. The Premier of Quebec is sending Quebec's provincial police force to defend the borders. Alberta's Premier is doing the same. Ontario's Premier is saying exactly the same things. How can we trust this Prime Minister? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Our colleague
Look at Karina Gould and our RBF.
Trust and jurisdiction. I answered this question.
Look at the immigration minister. He looks like he's panicking.
He can control, Mr. Speaker. He could ask for his security clearance so that he could protect his own caucus. He's not able to protect himself and his own caucus. And that's an issue of trust, Mr. Speaker. The trust of parliaments and the trust of Canadians depends on the ability of
Melanie Jolie looks like she's thinking about Trudeau's caucus.
Agenda and ask for a security clearance.
Yes, caucus.
Leader of the
Sorry, I had something in my throat.
This weak Prime Minister has lost control. He's lost control of immigration, lost control of our borders. And now we're facing massive threats to our economy. Right now, there are as many as 500,000 people here illegally. There are 700,000 students who came here with the implicit promise they'd be able to stay forever. And now they're being told they have to leave with the temptation that they might head south for the much stronger economy than we have here, which would provoke a massive retaliatory tariff. So what's the plan to reverse all the damage the Prime Minister's done?
The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Refugees.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hundreds of thousands of people come to this country every year and then leave. They're called tourists. Hundreds of thousands of people come here as temporary residents, and then they leave. Some become permanent residents. There is a plan to achieve that. They will migrate into permanent residency, but not all can stay here. And when they refuse to do so, they will be removed. But you can't make this up, Mr. Speaker.
Will they be deported?
The member opposite, the Leader of the Opposition, is doing with the member of Edmonton Millwoods is going around to these people, pandering to them, promising them to have visas and promising not to deport them. That is highly irresponsible and it's incompetent.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, that member hallucinates almost as badly as his weak leader, who refuses to stand and answer for his own border failures. Let's look at his record. He opened Roxham Road. He kept it open for a year longer than the Americans required. He put out a tweet saying, "Welcome to Canada," inviting people to come here illegally. According to that minister's department, there are 500,000 people here illegally, all of whom could be tempted to go south of the border, provoking a massive retaliatory response. So once again, what's the plan to fix what he broke?
The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Refugees.
Speaker, we'll tweet out the video of him pandering to people, entertaining false hope. promising visas to everyone, promising they won't get deported. That's highly incompetent. Worse than that, Mr. Speaker, is he's refusing to get his security clearance. That is irresponsible for any purported leader of this country, any responsible person in politics. He needs to grow a pair, get the briefing.
Uh-oh, he's going to get in trouble for that. Yeah, there you go, House Speaker. Cut his finger off. Rip his tongue out. Rip his tongue out. Peel his fingernails off. They muted the mic. God damn it! They muted the mic. You son of a bitch. His workaround for my petition is he doesn't mute it. He does a gang signal like that.
A large flexibility that Speaker gives, of course, to the language that's used in here. But I think that might be beyond the border. I'm going to ask the Honourable Minister if he could just withdraw those words.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw those words. On a day like this, I would
pussy.
all flannel and no axe.
All flannel and no axe.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, once again shows the erratic, out-of-control government we have.
They need a mental institution.
His minister is hiding from questions. His minister is losing control of his words and his mind. This is a government that is falling to pieces. The Prime Minister has lost control of the border, lost control of immigration, lost control of our finances, and now lost control of his caucus, who are saying that they've been intimidated into voting in favor of his tiny tax trick. He's lost control, but he's holding on to power.
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't know what the member is talking about. On this side of the House, we can have conversations, we can have debates, and we don't get shut down from speaking like the members opposite, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, let's talk about today. We are moving forward with a GST cut for every single Canadian. And what have we heard from the Leader of the Opposition? He's opposed to tax cuts, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, he's all talk, no walk. He's not there for Canadians. On this side of the House, we're going to support Canadians and let our members have debates and conversations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's pretty lame.
Order.
Yo, today's a zoo. The closer we get to the holidays, the crazier this gets.
And I have the Honourable Member from Thornhill.
After doubling the cost of housing, adding an inflationary carbon tax to everything that Canadians buy, and giving us the highest levels of debt in the G7, the Prime Minister's plan is a temporary, tiny 2-month tax trick. But not even small businesses are fooled. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business says that only 4% of small businesses expect a sales boost because of the latest last-ditch effort for the Prime Minister to save his own job. If he's so sure about his plan, why doesn't he call a carbon tax election and let Canadians decide? Right.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
With respect, the member ought to look at what the Retail Council of Canada has said on the matter, what Restaurants Canada has said on the matter as well, Mr. Speaker. Small business owners in my community across the country will benefit as a result of this tax cut. It's exactly what it is, a tax cut for workers, a tax cut for families. What's also surprising, Mr. Speaker, and I just heard the name, they talked about Aaron O'Toole. That's exactly right. He put this initiative on the table in the summer of 21. We're supporting it now. You know who else supported it? The Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Speaker. He reposted a tweet from Aaron O'Toole at that time, but doesn't want to support it now, Mr. Speaker.
The Liberals are so boring.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, Speaker, this isn't a tax cut. It's a distraction before
Yeah.
much, much bigger permanent tax hike. Even his own Liberal MPs are now opposing this. The member from Hamilton East Stony Creek says that he was threatened with, quote, consequences if he voted against it. Rather than threatening his own MPs, muzzling them like he's accused others of doing, we have a weakened Prime Minister terrified of facing Canadians. So if he's so sure about his own leadership, if he's so sure about his own plan, why won't he allow his own MPs to have a free vote on this one today?
There you go.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to
Leave it up to Canadians.
Construction Communities.
Workers going for groceries, Mr. Speaker, who want to eat out, who want to buy gifts during Christmas, Mr. Speaker. That's who's on our mind, Mr. Speaker. Families who want to buy diapers for their kids, who want to buy kids' clothes. That young family who's excited about a new child coming into the family, Mr. Speaker. Car seats are expensive. There's a tax savings on that too, Mr. Speaker. The Leader of the Opposition supported this initiative in 2021, but doesn't want to now because it's a Liberal initiative. Will the real Pierre Poilievre stand up in this House of Commons?
Well, I guess they're making life better for us for 60 days, so we should vote for them, right?
Member from Calgary, Forest Lawn.
Let's go, Gistrage. Oh. What's going on?
Sorry, I did not hear the honourable member, and I'm going to ask members to, if members were able to hold their voices unless recognized by the Speaker, it'd be easier for the Speaker to hear a statement. The honourable member apparently had mentioned the name of another honourable member. I'll ask the honourable member to just rise and use the name of...
It's an honest mistake, Mr. Speaker. I withdraw.
The honourable member from Calgary, Forest Lawn.
Turning temporary 2-month tax tricks won't save this desperate Prime Minister. After doubling housing costs, doubling the national debt, doubling food bank usage, now he's blaming Canadians for not feeling the vibe of this pricey gimmick.
Yeah.
Now he's even threatening his own Liberal MP from Hamilton East Stony Creek for not supporting this vote-buying scheme. Instead of threatening MPs to take cents off Skittles, call a carbon tax election now so common-sense Conservatives can axe the tax for good.
Taking cents off Skittles. Yo, I like that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I know the Leader of the Opposition knows a thing or two about threatening his own MPs, because if they don't speak in 3-word slogans, we never hear from them again. But, Mr. Speaker, what I can say is that on this side of the House, we are excited to deliver a tax cut for Canadians. And for the mom who has to buy diapers and groceries and a car seat, this is meaningful for her, Mr. Speaker. Who it's not meaningful for is the Leader of the Opposition, because when it comes to supporting everyday Canadians, he would rather support himself than give them a break over the holidays. That's so disappointing, and Canadians across this country are disappointed in him. Thank you.
For 60 days. You people are insane.
Calgary, Forest Lawn.
The only thing they're cutting is moms that have to cut down on the nutritious food that they can give to their kids and sending them into food bank lines. And after this temporary tax trick is done, they're going to jack up the carbon tax on April the 1st, making everything more expensive. And anyone who doesn't believe in this Prime Minister's radical plan, he threatens them with consequences. This inflationary vote-buying scheme will add another $6 billion to this Prime Minister's growing deficit. Instead of taking chump change off chocolates, call a carbon tax election now so we can axe the tax for good.
Permanent tax. Permanent tax cut.
Government House Leader in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, the GST that we are proposing to remove is going to be removed on essential items like groceries, like children's clothing, like diapers.
So do it forever.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know if the honourable colleague has children, but if he did, he would know just how expensive those items are for Canadians. And for Canadians who have to buy these essential items, this tax cut makes a difference, Mr. Speaker. I don't understand why Conservative members of Parliament don't get that, but I hope they change their mind and support this measure, because it's
Ask the honourable member from South Shore.
Make it permanent. Why are you putting relief on 60 days? That's insane.
South Shore St. Margaret's to please not take the floor unless recognized by the Speaker.